It's August, it's Samsung launch time, and that of course means new foldables and wearables. The new Z Fold and Z Flip devices bring more refinements in the hardware and the cameras, but just as important, the software too. And the new Watch 5 series built on Samsung's first Wear OS watches with more power, bigger batteries, and more ways to track and improve your fitness. I'm Alex Toby for XDA, and I've spent a little while playing with Samsung's new watches and wearables ahead of today's launch. Take a sec to subscribe to XDA TV if you haven't already, and we'll jump into what's new. First thing to note here is that most of the upgrades in the Fold and the Flip are evolutionary, refining the foldable designs that Samsung has been honing over the past 3 years. So the core design of both foldables is near identical to last year's models, as is the US starting price of $17.99 for the Fold and $9.99 for the Flip. The Fold still supports the S Pen on the inner display, likewise there's the same IPX8 protection from water, and the ultra-thin glass is rated for up to 200,000 folds, or around 5 years of use if you open and close it 100 times a day. With that said, the new Fold 4 is lighter and slightly slimmer than the previous model for easier one-handability. The idea here is to trim down where possible to make the Fold more portable while maintaining that big internal 7.6-inch display with all the multitasking benefits that brings. In fact, the proportions on the inside have been tweaked so the internal footprint is taken up with more screen, and the cover screen has been widened too without increasing the device's size, made possible thanks to the slimmer hinge and of course smaller bezels. The under-display camera is back too and now blends in better with your content and apps. It's still a bit difficult to give an accurate impression of how this looks on camera because you can zoom right on it with a macro lens and see it very clearly. In person though, it's a marked improvement from the Fold 3's UDC. There's much less of a visible mesh effect to it. The camera underneath has a similar 4-megapixel resolution and large pixel size. Once again, this one's designed mainly for video calls as opposed to selfies. Samsung's also been working on making the Fold more durable, with a claimed 45% stronger ultra-thin glass for the main screen and the latest Gorilla Glass Victus Plus for the outer panel. Of course, time will tell how durable these end up being. Any foldable is inherently more breakable than a flat phone, so this is all good stuff. There are a few generational upgrades on the inside too, led by Qualcomm's latest and more power-efficient Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset. That should mean better battery life from the 4400 mAh cell, even though that capacity hasn't increased from last year's Fold. The most substantial hardware changes of the Fold though might be its cameras. The Fold 4 gets the same 50-megapixel sensor as the Galaxy S22, together with a 12-megapixel ultra-wide and an improved 3x 10-megapixel optical zoom. And that bigger sensor and more powerful processor enables the same nightography night shooting mode for the S22 for clearer low-light shots. That said, the S22 Ultra is still going to be your go-to Samsung purchase if you want the very best photo performance with its larger main sensor and dual telephoto cameras, but the Fold here should be very much up to speed with the standard flagship. In other words, with the Fold 4 you're really not going to feel like you're missing out when it comes to photo and video. Plus, like most foldables, the screen itself allows for some neat camera trickery. In the Fold 4's camera app, you can enable a zoomed out preview alongside what you're shooting for easier framing when you're zoomed in. And you can also more easily switch from dual preview to selfie mode to capture selfies with those high quality main cameras. Besides cameras, the most tangible upgrade you might notice in the Fold 4 comes thanks to the new additions in Samsung's One UI 4.1.1. This benefits from the changes in Android 12L for big screens, and the most noticeable one here is the taskbar, which you can pin apps to and use just like a PC or an iPad. This works whether you're using gesture input or the default 3-button navigation, so it's easy to use this to juggle apps between the portions of that inner display. A big screen is only as good as the apps that support it though, and so Samsung was also keen to plug dual panel optimization for third-party apps like Google Meet, Outlook, and Facebook Messenger. It's a really natural fit for a large display like this, and I think it's going to be a great addition for multitasking on that large screen, which really is what the Fold is still all about. With hardware upgrades, a bigger internal display, and new software tricks, the Fold 4 is very much a multitasking powerhouse, inching closer to a 2020s version of those old pocket PCs from decades past, thanks to the latest software from Samsung and Google. And many of those software smarts also carry over to Samsung's new clamshell foldable, the Z Flip 4. The Flip has a bunch of neat features that take advantage of its distinctive form factor, and Samsung has really doubled down on flex mode in particular. That's the half-open configuration when the phone is folded at a right angle like a tiny little laptop. Flex Mode supports more video calling apps like Google Meet, Zoom, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger, and many favorite video streaming apps too, like YouTube, Netflix, and Disney Plus are optimized for Flex Mode on this device. And that extends to streaming your own content as well, with hands-free options for broadcasting your stuff on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook using controls on the bottom half of the screen. Samsung's keen to take advantage of Flex Mode in video and calls too, with an auto-framing feature that can follow you around the shot thanks to the wide-angle front-facing camera. You can even fold the phone 90 degrees and use it as a kind of camcorder grip for some early 90s nostalgia, not totally sure how practical that's going to be though. So yeah, Samsung is really going all out to take advantage of this unique capability of the Flip. If an app doesn't support Flex Mode, you can still fold it in half and have it occupy the top half of the screen and bring up a little touchpad cursor on the bottom half to control it, again turning this thing almost literally into a miniature laptop. Not too much of a surprise to see Samsung doubling down like this though. On account of its smaller size and price tag and its fun form factor, the company has shifted a ton of Z Flip units over the past few years. In fact, the Flip 3 claims the title of most popular foldable in the world right now, though obviously that's without any meaningful competition from Apple. In any case, Samsung is walking a fine line with the Flip 4 in bringing the upgrades we all expect, while keeping the price at that relatively, and I stress relatively, affordable $999 mark. Like the Fold 4, it runs the latest Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chip, even more important for battery life in a device of this size, and thankfully the battery capacity has got an upgrade to 3700 mAh, not a huge figure but a very welcome bump up from 3300 mAh last year, and Samsung says you can expect up to an extra 3 hours of screen usage compared to the Flip 3. And there's slightly faster charging too relative to that phone, getting you up to 50% in 30 minutes. The camera array is a bit more prominent now and gets a nice upgrade. Not as big as what's in the Fold, but there's a brighter 12 megapixel primary camera that should make a big difference to nighttime shots and video, along with improved optical stabilization. The same nightography and night portrait modes from the rest of Samsung's 2022 lineup is present too, so overall you're looking at a much more capable camera experience across the board, especially in darker conditions. Elsewhere around the front, the cover display returns and it's grown a few new tricks too, like replying to texts and making phone calls and paying with Samsung Wallet. And if you're bought into Samsung's SmartThings ecosystem, you can control your smart home gadgets from there as well. So a ton of new features in terms of what you can do with apps, especially in Flex Mode, really taking advantage of what makes this phone unique. And for $999 there's a ton of fun to be had here, including the new Bespoke Studio that lets you customize and choose between 75 unique combinations of panel, frame, and hinge colors for a truly personalized foldable. But I think the real test will be whether the bigger battery and more efficient chip can push the Flip 4 to be an all-day device. Its predecessors have really struggled with battery life, so here's hoping for a Flip that doesn't flop before the end of the day. So what about Samsung's latest wearables? Well, you've got the baseline Galaxy Watch 5 starting at $279 and the Watch 5 Pro at $449. The big upgrades this generation are improved durability and battery life and new fitness features, especially for sleep tracking. For starters, there's a 15% larger battery and quicker charging compared to the Watch 4, giving you 50 hours of battery life in the Watch 5 and 80 in the Pro. Samsung claims the Watch 5 is 60% stronger than the previous gen with new sapphire crystal glass, which should be a good deal tougher than the Gorilla Glass DX Plus used in the Watch 4. And on the other side, the reshaped curvature of the bioactive sensor with a larger surface area helps more accurately track heart rate and bioelectric impedance, while for the first time also monitoring skin temperature. The new sleep coaching features can capture everything from time spent snoring, breathing, and heart rate and blood oxygen level, for a more complete picture of how you're sleeping and how that's contributing to your overall health. That complements the already pretty exhaustive set of body composition monitoring features that we know from the Watch 4. You're capturing more data points on the Watch 5 for a more comprehensive picture of your health. Google and Samsung's Wear OS has been slowly adding more features since its launch on the Watch 4, and the Watch 5 series finally gives us Google Assistant and Maps and YouTube Music working out of the box, in addition to 18 new and enhanced watch faces from Samsung. Naturally, you've got a ton of strap options too, including basic sports straps, NATO straps, link bracelets, and my personal favorite Milanese loop. The Watch 5 comes in 40 and 44mm flavors, and I actually really dig the sports strap here with the regular 40mm, which kind of strikes me as a cross between the upcoming Pixel Watch and some of Samsung's older smartwatches. The Watch 5 Pro is the big daddy for people who really want to take their health tracking to the next level. It's physically quite a bit larger, coming with a 45mm strap option only. It does everything the Watch 5 does with added durability, including an even more scratch-resistant variety of sapphire glass than the variant used in the Watch 5, plus titanium casing and that bigger battery that we already talked about. The Pro also gets you new route-specific workout options, the ability to import runs or cycles in GPX format for turn-by-turn navigation, and route tracking so you can easily find your way back. These extras don't come cheap though. If you max out and go for the LTE-equipped Watch 5 Pro, it'll set you back a cool $499. So a lot to get your teeth into there if you're using a wearable for tracking your health and workouts, especially the sleep angle. But if you're just after a good looking smartwatch for casual tracking, I think the standard Watch 5 has some pretty attractive looking strap and color options and should make for an interesting comparison with the Google Pixel Watch when that eventually lands. Before we wrap up, it's worth mentioning the new Galaxy Buds Pro 2 briefly. Of all the devices I played with, I spent the least time with these, but they do add a couple of new interesting features that are worth diving into. They're designed for a more comfortable fit than the original Buds Pro, with a 15% smaller size and a new design that's supposed to reduce pressure on your ears. And they support Samsung's seamless 24-bit codec for a wider dynamic audio range. Noise cancellation is also improved. They can cancel out 3 decibels more of noise than the Buds Pro. And it's smart enough to know when you're talking too, with intelligent ANC that's able to adjust on the fly to let you actually have a conversation while you're using the buds. Plus, if you're already knee-deep into the Samsung ecosystem, you'll appreciate the Buds Pro 2's ability to quickly switch between devices, including easy pairing with its 2022 smart TVs and smart monitors. My favorite of these though is probably SmartThings Find support. This is the same technology used in the Galaxy Smart Tag, which uses Bluetooth LE on Galaxy devices out in the world to let you track items from your phone. So if you've ever left your headphones on a train or they've fallen out of your bag, then this at least gives you a fighting chance of being reunited with them, potentially saving a lot of time, hassle, and money. So that's going to wrap up our first impressions of Samsung's new gadgets from the August Unpacked event. A lot to like, including important upgrades for the foldables, longer lasting watches that can tell you more about your overall health, and more features than ever for the Pro earbuds. Personally, I'm a big fan of the new multitasking features Samsung's bringing to the Fold, but I'm also curious to see how the new chip and the bigger battery in the Z Flip 4 can help it become a more dependable device over a full day's use compared to previous flips. Let us know which one of them you're looking forward to the most down in the comments, and we'll have much more to say about all of them over on the XDA portal very soon. That's it for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.